mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and the economy has tanked. I don't want to say that the economy's tanked, but we are way past the glory days of 2020, 2021, and even 2022. The market is speaking, and not just within the realm of video games, but also within the realm of sneakers as well. And I'm a huge sneaker guy, and I'll talk about that in a second. But let's quickly go over the plans for today. One is I'm continuing with my sales. As I've mentioned in videos before, this is prime selling season for me. This is the time of year where I offload a lot of just some of the extras out of my collection. I'm also able to sell some items that I am not interested in keeping, to be able to add other things back into the collection. And so I do have a pretty good sale that's going out today. This is an item that I'm packaging. I did happen to sell a very rare Dreamcast game. So that's going out today. Excited about that. Of course, whenever I'm selling rare Dreamcast games, I try to just package them. I bubble wrapped it in newspaper. I try to keep it as tight as possible. So going to be sending that out. And then also today is going to be a day where I peruse. I'll do a little bit of perusing today. The weather's great right now. Amazing. I mean, the breeze is blowing, the air is crisp. So definitely want to get out there early this morning and just take advantage of that before the sun starts really beaming and it gets like uncomfortably warm. But today's a good day to just, if there's any yard sales that I happen to pass, of course I'm going to stop by. Maybe I'll swing through some thrift stores, not expecting much there. Same thing with GameStop. I'm going to roll through a few GameStops. I'm not expecting much from GameStop because tomorrow is the launch of the promotion that they've got going on. So it's the beginning of 2 weeks of Pro Week, which is just 2 weeks of lackluster promotions. I'm not crazy excited about it, but you know, we'll see what happens there. So not a ton going on the gaming front, but probably a little bit more going on with the sneaker news. So just kind of shifting gears here. As many of you know, I am a sneakerhead. I've never wanted to create like a sneaker channel, just because, I mean, if you think video gaming YouTube or retro gaming channels are, if you think YouTube is saturated with game channels and retro gaming channels, forget it. It's even more saturated with sneaker channels, and there are just so many people who are more diehard than me, who just have more of an inside scoop than me. I just don't bother doing it. But I do often but I often look at both the sneaker market and I look at the gaming market to try to kind of judge, where, are the willingness of people to spend money, right? And what we're seeing is there is less of a willingness for people to spend money on sneakers actually than there are people willing to spend money on video games. Even though the economy has kind of taken a little bit of a dip and it's not doing as well, people are still spending money on video games way more than they're spending money on sneakers. For those of you who know, there was a pair of Nike Air Jordan 4s that released yesterday, a pair of the Ama Maniere 4s. And for those of you who are not into sneakers, these sneakers were pretty much a collaboration between Nike and a designer who has a store. And there was a lot of hype around these sneakers for a bit, but when they actually released, they sat on shelves. They did not sell. They did not sell out on the store's website, and I don't know if they're gonna sell out at all. Now today there is a pair of Jordans that's supposed to be dropping today, this morning at 10, and those are the Air Jordan 1 Mocha Lows. Now I'm very, very interested to see how well those Air Jordans do, because at the height of, I want to say, when we were at the height of lockdown, I'll just say it that way, when things were pretty rough, when the pandemic was going on, the Air Jordan 1 Mocha Highs released and there was a lot of hype around those sneakers, and those sneakers are actually reselling for upwards of 600 bucks. Really crazy. They've come down a lot now, but it's interesting to see if these sneakers are going to sell out. I myself, my favorite Jordans have always been the Bred Air Jordan 4s, and I'll show you what those look like. Don't judge me. These are actually my 2012 pair of Nike Air Jordan 4s. I got these back in 2012, and I have put these sneakers through the ringer. These sneakers have been through it. But yeah, these are my Jordan 4s from 2012. As you can see, the cement gray has actually turned into like this cement, like it's almost turning brown. I've worn these sneakers into the dust, but I gotta say that the nubuck on the 4s for this year were like special, man. These 4s had like a special nubuck that was like very buttery, because even with all the wear and tear I put on these Jordans, the nubuck is actually in really good shape, better shape than you know, some of the panels here. I thought about restoring these or having these professionally restored. You have folks who restore Air Jordans. These are some of my favorite. These are my favorite, actually. The reason why the 4s are probably so special to me, because when I first got my first real paying job, because I've been working since I was 13, but then the job that I had that allowed me to buy my first car when I was like 17, that was the first job that actually paid me like real money. And I remember with one of my first checks, I went and got myself a pair of Cool Gray 4s. This is when the Cool Gray 4s first came out back in 2000 and what would that have been? 2004-ish, 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And I remember getting a pair of Cool Gray 4s and then getting a pair of Bred 4s not long thereafter. But these 4s, these particular Bred 4s, right now resell for like 600, 700 bucks. Of course, brand new. Like if they're dead stock, they resell for like 700 on sites like StockX and Flight Club and GOAT. But I feel like the hype for sneakers is really dying, and that's a really good thing for folks like me, because at my age, I don't, you know, I'm not into really the hype. I just want to buy sneakers that I like so that I could wear them. And during 2021, 2022, it was near impossible to do that, because everyone was a reseller. Everyone was reselling sneakers and video games for that matter. But the reselling market just made it impossible for you to get shoes that you like, that you could wear. So having these actually, they released a pair of the leather version of these, the Bred 4 Reimagines, at the beginning of the year, and I was able to get those at retail through the SNKRS app. But I'm saying all this to say that, you know, the sneaker market has taken a hit, and people aren't spending that much money on sneakers, but we're also seeing it a little bit in the gaming market. Now, don't get me wrong, people are still spending money on video games. People are still buying video games, and I feel like the gaming market is a bit stronger, because the video games market is probably has more, how do I say this? There are probably more adults involved in buying video games than there are in sneakers. I could be wrong, but you guys can let me know down in the comments. I feel like there's more adult dollars going into like video games and gaming than there are into sneakers, specifically like Jordans. I feel like for most men and women, after a certain point, unless they're like a diehard sneakerhead or they're a diehard hype beast, they pretty much move away from like Jordans after a certain age, and they no longer care, they no longer buy them like that. Whereas like with video games, if you're a gamer, you're a gamer, and you're going to continue to be a gamer into your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You're going to keep on buying systems. You're going to keep on buying video games. And, you know, I think the other thing is, like, when it comes to video games, you can still buy, like, granted, $50, $60 for a video game is still expensive, but it's nothing close to what sneakers are going for these days, where one pair of sneakers is like $250, $300. So no one wants, and mind you, they're pumping these out every week. There's a new pair of $250 sneakers coming out every single week. Whereas with video games, yeah, even if there's a new game coming out every week, it might be $50, $60. So it's a little bit easier on your wallet and it's a little bit more feasible to continue to, you know, enjoy the hobby of video games, whereas with sneakers it's a little bit tough. And I think this is part of the reason why Nike recently fired its CEO and they replaced their CEO, because just the way the company was being ran, it was being basically ran into the ground to where there's no more hype around Nike releases, around Jordan releases, and I think people are pretty much tired of it. It's a great time for me because it allows me to get the sneakers that I like without having to stand on stupid long lines that we've seen in the 90s and early 2000s. Also, I don't no longer have to fight with bots online. I'm able to just casually pick up sneakers that I want. So it'll be an interesting day. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people out and about outside because it's great weather. It's the first weekend of fall. This is some of the best weather we've seen since, I want to say, like early spring. It's not humid, it's not sweltering, the sun's out, the birds are chirping, it's really nice. So if you get a chance, get outside, take advantage, do a little bit of game hunting. If you're into sneakers, you may be able to get yourself a pair of the newly released Jordans and just make the most of the day. But it's the Y2K Collector. Got a stacked day ahead of me, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. But I will be back later on today with a video. A few of you mentioned that you want to see me do a Nintendo Switch collection video, so I think I'm gonna crank one of those out for you guys this afternoon and let you know what I've got in the collection. But that does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector. I'll be back with you later on today. Take it easy.